All right, welcome everyone to a March 14th edition of This Week in Crypto. I am here with Santiment's CEO and founder, Maxim. How are you, my friend?
Hi everyone. Yeah, good, doing good. Looking for bottom to form, but we will see if it's still way to go or arrived. How are you doing, Brian?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It's been a rocky week of crypto for sure, and we've seen several traders' patience tested as we've dipped as low as 78K a couple of times here. Bitcoin now back at 84K. You can see on the weekly chart, still down about 6.3% over the past week, but today's looking rather encouraging. I'm seeing both equities and crypto on the rise. So that never is a bad thing. We've seen a pretty tight correlation between the two. And I think that's kind of the elephant in the room as people focus on crypto. They're like, oh, what's going on? Is crypto dead? Is Trump strategy or reserve causing all of this? Well, in reality, it's kind of just fluctuated with the same downtrend that the S&P 500 has been on. Don't you agree?
Yeah. The latest, at least 2 weeks, maybe more. It's tightly correlated. Before that, you could to say blame crypto on its own, but now it's just one way down because of ongoing war, if even it's economic war. But this is how usually market track during this insecurity and war times. Yeah.
Right.
It's normal, yeah. It's actually it's even more normal when you look into it. It's typical gold up, everything is down. It's what you would expect when there's insecurity.
There's tariffs being implemented from the US all over the place. Canada just retaliated with tariffs on the US. There are constant fears of the trade war. The relation, at least here in the US, there's concern of a flip of potential allyship where the US may be somewhat sided with Russia in some extent. We don't get into the political things, but it does impact trader confidence in both crypto and equities, and that's really all that matters. If crypto confidence wavers and they, big money exits their positions, that can have a cascading effect on everyone else. And that's kind of the theory. Go ahead, Max. I'm sorry.
No, sorry. I don't remember if we mentioned it last week, day before, or one time before last week. At least I know I wanted to mention it, that no, I think we did mention it. That during the growth period of market, when you could expect and you could play from alongside, it's all about growing together, collaborating, most of the time peaceful time, even though local conflicts can be. But once you notice that it's getting more and more like separating, building your own, conflicting, or even as far as your old friends becoming, if not enemies, but if you treat them not like friends anymore, then it's typical and normal for downwards market. And I'm afraid we are into it. Of course, we will see, and we'll discuss today if it is the time now. Recoveries and pumps back to 90,000 or Ethereum even 2.5. But unfortunately, I think we should prepare for long-term bear market, because I don't think anything will change in the sense of society or how we are positioned by the powers which are outside of our controls. And these powers are obviously going into conflict mode, or like separating, fighting. I would say that there is a high chance we are in a few years of bear market. Yeah, with eventual. This doesn't look like a small conflict. If it be for whatever reason, allies not agreeing on something and trying to motivate each other to agree on terms, it will be one thing, but it's obviously the part of politics split people, make them fight with each other. It's a real now approach, and at the same time gain more control, more power, more money, and yeah, it doesn't stop just out of nowhere. It will take a full cycle till whatever the purposes is done. Yeah. I think it's a serious game.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting time. I mean, I'm thinking about some of the previous conflicts. Obviously, the Ukraine-Russia conflict that began in February 2022. That led to about a 2-week retrace before markets actually recovered pretty quickly in the other direction. We, of course, had the Israel-Palestine conflict more recently in September. October is when it really started to lift off. Even sooner than that, maybe a year ago is when we first began to hear about it. That had a very small impact, but this one feels a bit different because there's no direct agreed upon war other than the tariff and trade war issues and the rising tensions resulting from that. But I think people are worried it's going to result in something bigger. And as you said, Maxim, the powers that be are really the ones in control here, and we're kind of at their mercy as to what ends up going on with the political climate and how much tensions they want to have with one another. So
Yeah, there is obvious desire to go into tensions and conflict, not to avoid it, but to even provoke it, and that's a
right.
different game. And probably this is the main reason why market tracking this way so far.
Yeah, I would
because the more people realize, also traders and investors, nothing stays without consequences. Now, take an example like Tesla. I think in 1 year, less than 5% of normal buyers of Tesla will be doing it just because of protest or dislike, or being scared that people will damage their cars. It's just one example, yeah.
yeah.
Of course, the iteration, and in America, people will not buy some of European products, and other way around. Oh, it's just how do you come out of it fast? Difficult to come out of it fast. It takes time. Of course, it will come back to normal eventually, yeah. But
well, if we turn to the past 24 hours, obviously things have been better, and we can see the creeping up green that's going on for several of these assets. Hyperliquid, in particular, up 12% over the past 24 hours. Trump coin up 10%. Interesting to see that. OKB Chainlink, the many Chainlink fans out there should be pleased about this recovery. And of course, Bitcoin up just slightly over the past 24 hours. So it does look like things are showing some encouragement, but that could actually be a trap, right? We need to see if there's some FOMO that might be forming as a result. And for that, we have this chart that I've been referring to a lot lately. It shows when there is a significant amount of low mentions in the market or high mentions in the market in terms of price predictions. 55 to 69K is the blue, 100 to 119K is the red. We don't want to see a lot of red. We prefer to see a lot of blue because that would indicate that the market is fearful right now. And based on what I'm seeing, I mean, the last big time we saw a lot of blue was on March 10th, and we bounced perfectly from there. Here, about a little under 24 hours ago, we saw a little more greed on the dip. So people were actually buying this dip with confidence. And it's kind of neutral ever since. It's obviously the early morning hours in the US. So both bars will pick up as the day progresses, especially as markets have broken out a bit today. But it looks like there's no real signs of fear going on that we would be hoping for. Have you been seeing any fear signals on your end as I pull up some other charts here?
Yeah, there was enough. We saw. I mean, it is enough to consider we can do at least a relief rally. Predictions of if even I agree that eventually we might indeed hit now 65K for Bitcoin, I now consider quite a probability. Never goes in one line. Never goes in one line. So just market always try to confuse participants, and we need to always consider what will be the most confusing direction. Yeah, going now down. Okay, it will be depressive, possible. But it can also go like 5,000 more and bring in euphoria and then turn down everything. Now, everything's possible. I would stay away from trading. Now it's really a very difficult time to trade. Can go just anyway. It's not extreme. Yeah, it's. I would agree to be really, really, really convinced to go long. I would like indeed to see a bit more here, but we'll get it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, looking at sentiment, we see that for the last 3 days, we've actually been seeing an above average level of sentiment. So people are optimistic of a recovery. It makes sense. They've seen attempts for Bitcoin to cross above 85K again after bottoming out at 78. So 3 straight days where there's more than average positive comments compared to negative comments. So, yeah, I mean, your stance, Maxim, would be the contrarian view that we really continue to dump into the potential 60Ks because the crowd does not seem to agree with that possibility right now, at least when taking all of their comments in total.
So the crowd doesn't seem it's possible at the moment, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, there are, of course, several bears out there, but if we just aggregate all of their comments together, it's leaning slightly bullish right now.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, unlike here, so like March 9th and 10th, this was a clear buy signal when we were really dumping because they were showing extreme fear, just like we saw in late February. These low yellow bars clearly indicated the crowd was jumping out and they were scared of us going lower. So we want to see that this time around, but unfortunately, the crowd is showing confidence at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, you know, we have to look at whales as well, sharks and whales. If we go back 6 months and take a look at the bright green line here, I'll take off these two. So there has been a little more accumulation. We've seen since March 3rd, just over the past 10 days. Yeah, the 10 plus BTC wallets are up about 6,068 Bitcoin total. So they are beginning to accumulate a little bit. I wouldn't call this a major surge, but at least it's no longer doing this. This was a clear sign that we were likely going down. In addition to what Maxim is saying about all of the world tensions out there, if the whales are actually taking profit, then look out. That's a really bad sign. But it's at least turned around a bit over the last 10 days. We'll have to see if this continues, but I wouldn't be surprised if just these past 24 hours, where they accumulated about 1,884 Bitcoin, that could directly have to do with today's rally that we're seeing. And it may be nothing more than that. So this will be a very important chart to watch. We'll see if it continues throughout the weekend. It's also worth noting that the supply in exchanges is still going up. So this is concerning as well. If we take this line from February 5th until now, the supply of Bitcoin on exchanges has gone up about 0.17% of the entire supply in terms of raw coins. So it looks like it's about 35,146 Bitcoin have moved back to exchanges over the past 5 weeks or so. That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So not great. We want to see the supply staying away from exchanges because when they move to exchanges, that's usually, if not always, a signal that people are at least planning to sell. And whales and sharks do have a big impact on this line. Also, I'm noticing this, Maxim, the funding rate for Deribit is showing a pretty high bias toward longing over the last few days.
Yeah. Can
And
we check other exchanges?
yeah, they're not as bad as Deribit. That's the one that's really standing out. Binance is pretty neutral, as we can see. BitMEX is actually the other way around, which is interesting. Let me zoom in here. Yeah, BitMEX has shown a slight bias towards shorting. So exchanges are kind of all over the place at the moment.
And OKEX?
I don't think we have that anymore. I think that was removed a while back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not there. But based on what we're seeing with Deribit, BitMEX, DYDX is neutral as well. Yeah, I mean, BitMEX is shorting a little, Binance is neutral, DYDX is neutral, and then Deribit is showing some longs. So it really depends on the exchange, but they're all moving in different directions at the moment. And the total amount of holders has also kind of moved down over the last few days. It was beginning to climb. I mean, it's still on kind of an upward trajectory, but we're rooting for, you know, stuff like this because that would form a bottom as retail traders are jumping out. So right now they're not really dropping too much. We'll see if this trend continues from just the past 24 hours, but interesting to see that. And then I also was looking at MVRV, Maxim. So in terms of short-term and long-term returns at the moment.
Looking to it long time, yeah. Oh, me,
Yeah,
I didn't look to it long time.
Yeah, so the 30-day average returns sitting at -5%. So slightly better conditions than average to buy or add onto your positions just from a completely mathematical perspective. And then on the 365-day, it's just about dead even at 0%. And we were seeing for a long time this teal, the long-term MVRV was way positive. So going back the last year here, I give it just a minute to load. You're going to see that the teal line was almost always in positive. And it wasn't until very recently that we finally began to see it go down. So a few dips here in August, one in September, and it was pretty much, other than that, always well in the positive. And we're finally back here at about neutral. So the long-term traders have come down a lot. They're certainly not in like a opportunistic negative range, but we're at least, you know, happy to see that neither one of them are showing overwhelming positive returns anymore. So that adds to the argument of at least a short-term rally, even if Maxim's theory about a longer-term dump is in play.
Yeah.
Whale transactions kind of still declining, not really a big deal in either direction. I mean, all that matters is whether the collective ones that are active are accumulating or dumping. And over time, it looks like whales are just laying off the gas pedal a tiny bit.
What about network realized profit loss and coinage consumed?
Yeah, so I was just getting to these down here. We'll do age consumed and mean dollar invested age first. Not much going on age consumed wise, and we've seen the mean dollar invested age since early February really start to rise a little bit. So this was the clear bull market signal where the mean dollar invested age line was just dropping. And then we start to see this turning point here over the past 6-ish weeks or so, 5 weeks.
Yeah. It looks like it did, right? It looks more and more like established bear market. What I mean in this few years, if once you see this change, of course, there was one example in 2021 when it turned around and we make a second top, was double top, but it could be just keep continuing, yeah. rallying maybe 10, 20% up and then going down. As a matter of fact, now I am thinking if we push to extreme for contrarian view, when you read articles or tweet posts, people very often mention, yeah, we've seen in the past this 20% decline, 30% decline. Look how it continued. This is the majority, or let's say almost everything you read. No one says that we've seen in the past if we come up a little bit on the price. We've seen this pattern before too, like price recovering, go up, and then just keep crashing. We've seen it in 22 the whole year, or almost the whole year, just the way how it worked. So no one write about it yet, which makes me believe to think from contrarian point of view, if this is a crowd sentiment, and crowd sentiment always what majority talk about, what majority has as a consensus, and consensus seems to be like, okay, we crash, yeah, but we'll recover and go up again. It's still a consensus. We should play safe and say, no, let's think the other way around. We could rally up, but it will continue down.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I completely agree with you. There's a lot of theories out there that say, there might be a little bit of a further drop, but I plan on buying here. Or there might be a little more of a rise, but I plan on selling here. Usually when that happens, their first instinct is usually the one that's likely to continue. So if they expect a crash and then a quick rebound, it's more likely that the crash just keeps happening. And I've seen that time and time again where people kick themselves for trying to get too precise and buy at a certain point or sell at a certain point. And there's of course also the argument that we're in a 4-year cycle, and many of the bulls, Maxim, have been pointing out, oh, well, what about 2021? And that's right here. You mentioned the double top going on. 2021 and 2017 were massive years for crypto, of course. They both were big bull markets, even though at the end of both years, we saw a big retrace like this. This one happened in November. The 2017 one happened in December. But do you think that there is an argument that because we're in that same 4-year cycle as previously big rallies, there could be a limit to how much of a bear market we actually start to enter into?
If we would be in such a cycle, yes, but who can be so sure that it's exactly the same cycle last time? What if we are now correcting the whole rally from 2009? What if? Just as a thought. Yeah. We're getting used to cycles always the same. No, they could be different. Timing of a cycle is something which is not a given. Yeah, which is not a given. Just not a given. Yeah.
Yeah, my take is it's such a small sample size. Crypto's been around for about almost 16, 17 years now, but that's not nearly enough to look at, 5 examples of a 4-year cycle. Like we've got 2025, 21, 17, 13, and 09. That's it. Those are the 5 examples. So if like 4 out of those 5 are bullish, can we really definitively say, oh, every 4 years on this trajectory is going to be a good one? No, I don't think so. It could end up being a good year. It could be a bad year, but to rely on just 2 or 3 examples where the markets happen to be bullish on that 4-year cycle is kind of foolish to me. There's other better arguments if you're bullish for markets being bullish this year than just simply saying the halving happened in 2024. It's always good the next year and a half or so before something happens. I just think, especially if the entire crowd starts to believe that, the argument that we're seeing a top even gets bigger, because we don't want to go with the same notion that the retail traders believe. So I'm kind of with you, Maxim. I just don't I there can be so many factors like COVID in 2020 and 2021 that may have had everything to do with why 2021 was such a big year. And it was not related at all to the halving cycle. So it's always interesting to talk about that subject. We can also see network realized profit loss. I'm way zoomed out right now, Maxim. Maybe I go to just the past 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
So here's how it looks
you
right
see,
now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a kind of low, but we've seen some negative, or let's say, realized losses. So realized losses is good sign. At least bitcoins which been moved and they were received in these addresses on a higher price. So this is a cool sign. I would say everything combined, we are kind of ripe for recovery, rally to, I don't know, 90K, yeah, why not? But if that happens, prepare for the next leg down. Unless we will revisit situation, maybe if this will be expectation of majority, when everyone say, okay, it's a fake rally, bull trap, well, then we'll change our opinion. But so far, most of the reads I have saying, okay, one more dump or whatever, and we will continue. So many positive news.
Yeah.
Also many positive expectations.
And of course, Maxim and myself, we're analyzing based on the knowledge we have now of what's happening in the world and what's happening with crypto. But things can always change, right? Like even though this stream is a bit doom and gloom, like we could hear tomorrow that Zelensky and Putin came to a truce, or the U.S. and Canada, or in Australia and China, they decided no more tariffs for anybody. And then all of a sudden we see this massive market reaction, and the entire reality that we're looking at right now changes. But we're going with the assumption that nothing is imminent, and we are likely to continue to see a bit of a stalemate between different nations. And that's kind of how we do our analysis here, and why it's so important to look at what cards we're currently being dealt, as a planet, basically, and how that's going to impact crypto. So just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, correct. Especially expectations of the majority.
Right.
If this change and expectations suddenly will decide, okay, imagine next week we're talking and prices increase, just as an example, by 90K Bitcoin, and majority believe it's a fake rally and we will dump. Then we will come out and say, okay, no, it will continue.
Mm-hmm. So
we always try to understand majority, and we will see not only talks, but also big realized profits. So edge consumed, it means indeed market participants got a bit scared or worried. Yeah, then definitely will change our opinion, say no, it will continue up.
Right. And notice the big focus on Bitcoin right now, too. It's not surprising considering this volatility, but this is really the most social dominance on a week-to-week basis we've seen from Bitcoin since like the summer, I think. I mean, this is the weekly view of social dominance. It just keeps going up and up. I go back a year. Yeah, this is by far the most weight that the crowd is putting on Bitcoin.
Can you check 22 November when we were forming the bottom, long-term bottom? How is it?
So it's going to be skewed a little bit. The problem is there was that Twitter API change right here. So it might be slightly skewed, but social dominance cuts through that a bit. So it might be fairly accurate. This was 2022 when we were really starting to drop. This was July when we hit that bottom of about 20K.
We had one more final dump on decreasing popularity of Bitcoin, and then that's it. Okay.
Yeah, and this was when FTX collapsed and stuff too. So it was kind of unique circumstances. But yeah, we did get all the way down to the 15Ks before finally bouncing.
Okay.
So social dominance is very, very high toward crypto's largest market cap right now. We talked about total amount of holders. It's actually, I mean, looking at it from a long-term perspective, I haven't done this in a while, but you can see how much it's flattened out over the past 6 months compared to this trajectory. So this is like the trajectory we went on until the summer or so, and then all of a sudden, holders are not hodling quite as frequently and consistently as they were. Now let's look at social trends for a few minutes, Maxim. It's interesting to see Dogecoin way, way up here at the moment. And I'm trying to kind of grasp why with you guys in real time. Texts express a cautiously bullish sentiment toward Doge, highlighting its strong community support. Good point, Max Balresh. It could have to do with the Doge.gov. And Maxim, I'm curious, do you have some context? Otherwise, I can do a quick search on that.
Most likely, it's connected with Doge from Musk.
Yeah, the
And
other
people
Doge.
saying that he misused the name of Doge as from meme coin. I read this discussion. I think it was on Reddit today.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the thread grew so big that now it's indeed get to the top.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's probably being the Department of Government Efficiency is cutting into the actual coin and skewing the data. So we'll take that with a grain of salt. I see AMP, which has been in the top 10 throughout the past week. It's mainly just related to its crazy price volatility. MDT, it's almost all, other than XRP here, it's almost all pretty obscure altcoins at the moment, which I find concerning. We want to see the focus kind of staying on the main top and large caps, but we're seeing meme coins like Pengu starting to jump up on Robinhood and all this stuff. So there might be, just like we saw with Bitcoin sentiment, there might be a touch of greed really starting to form in the markets again because people think that the bottom just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at some of the most popular words, we do see Doge here at number 2. So that adds to the theory that this is related to. Yep. So gold is, I
Can we use
presume
it
it's
as contrarian and think that gold is about to top out?
could be, yeah. Or I would think I've seen some whispers that gold is like the sneaky good investment right now from the crowd because they believe that crypto could go through this same volatile condition for a couple months, and while governments and capitalism is being questioned, gold and silver often benefit from that because it's this safe haven that historically always will have value no matter what political situations countries are in. I think that's the theory there that I've been seeing circulating. And also CZ seeking a presidential pardon from Trump. That's interesting to see. And of course, this could be related to the US's conversations about partnering with Binance in some respect, even though CZ's association with Binance is fairly limited. I'm sure there's some overlap there. Yeah, I mean, CZ is being discussed, and of course, SBF and his interview. This was probably a bigger deal in the US, but he was in the news for a big interview with Tucker Carlson, who's a famous Republican news anchor and has his own show and things like that. So they've both been in the news. That's always worth watching. The Wall Street Journal and their battle with Trump and how they're perceiving Trump in the news. Very Trump heavy and Binance heavy among the top trending words at the moment. And we can also look at the alpha narratives here, which I, again, really love the new facelift that we're seeing. It does look like it's not updated, though. So never mind. We can't really take a look because this only gets updated every Friday, and we have not seen that happen just yet. This is also an interesting chart where we can compare the overall mentions of buy, buying, or bought versus sell, selling, or sold. And we're specifically looking at how much they're mentioning it with the frequency of Bitcoin, crypto, or altcoins. And as of late, if we just zoom out to 1 day bars here, we'll go past 6 months. Yeah, so we saw this giant bar as we were falling on March 6th. It looked like people were slightly favoring selling here. And it's been mostly more, that's kind of mixed. There isn't a clear signal coming out here. I was hoping we'd see like a big skew toward selling or a big skew toward buying, but neither one is really popping out at the moment. Remember, you can check these out by platform as well, which is really awesome. Twitter, for example, had this big jump in selling interest here, but it wasn't matched on other platforms. I don't have too much more, Maxim. Are there any final charts that you want to take a look at?
I was looking into DeFi liquidations or yield on stable coins. There it looks bottomish. The yield on stable coins so low and so that like I think I've never seen it. It's really, it shows you on average or majority of market participants see no opportunities in the market. Maybe there are none indeed. They're not long in decentralized way or not chasing opportunities. It's very, very, very low yield. I think 3.5% below Fed rate. So you have more risk in crypto, but your rate is now below Fed rate. So typically it's a bottom sign. If even, I'm not convinced long term, but many, many, many signs. There have been heavy liquidations last weeks and repayments and low yield. So we could expect any time just some rally up. Just not get personally, me personally, wouldn't get optimistic about it. Unless there will be many other people who are also pessimistic. Okay, now it's happening. So this is the summary. Yeah. I keep coming to it. Yeah. Keep coming to the same condition.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if there's anything on the MakerDAO repayments against collateral going on.
Well, I can share with you my chart is very big.
Please do.
I just did it yesterday because I have a presentation tomorrow here in Malaysia. And yeah, repayments. Yeah, here it is. Let me save it. I will share with you on Discord. Yeah.
Sounds good.
And then you can open. Yeah. So and you can, if repayments in very, very, very bottom, yeah. There are a lot of.
All right. So very, very bottom. Here's the repayments for major stables across major protocols.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to save this myself.
Oh yeah.
So I always have a copy.
You'll save yourself over. So you see, it's a kind of intense what we've seen last, I don't know how much months. Above average, so it's a signal. And if you scroll up, you will see that also liquidations were quite high. These two charts, it's for Ethereum. You can skip it. It's a kind of complex. This also can skip, and then you will start seeing. Yeah, not yet this one. It's also repayment. Actually, I need to remove it. It's my previous version. Yeah, so here start liquidations, and it's one for I think RAP BTC. Yeah, but there will be more for wrap it or it. Wrap BTC is not used so much as before. I would probably pay less attention now to it. Still used as collateral for borrowing a stable. But if you close this chat and you go just few lines above, there will be this is what used wrapped it on our platform. It's quite heavy liquidations. Like
So we saw a huge clump at the end of February. Was this a bottom signal or a temporary one?
Yeah. It's last time it took no more than 2 weeks till we found the bottom. So here we still keep sliding down, but there were again liquidations. It's bottomish conditions.
Yeah, so this could give an argument that we are at least going to see a temporary bounce with all of these liquidations that happened on Monday.
Yes.
And I see Aave and Compound, Frax liquidations here. Same thing, same timing of March 10th. Yeah, this is really fascinating. Wow, interesting to see the Aave supply APY just continuing to plummet.
Yeah.
Total borrow, that's a good stat here as well.
Yes. We removed quite a lot of debt from the system. It's not at the level where we started last cycle. So eventually, it's also one of the reasons why I think longer term, we should go even lower.
Yeah, there's about a third less borrowing than there was 6 weeks ago. Big drop. Stablecoin borrowing, of course. That's dropped since January 31st, almost a third as well. These are fascinating, Maxim. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. I like to revisit the chat at least a few times a week.
Yeah, Balresh, feel free if you want, share this template with the chat so that the people watching on replay or watching live can. Awesome, thank you, my friend. I think this is probably a comprehensive summary for today, but just as a quick check, are there any requests, assets, questions about the markets that you see in chat? No problem. Well, Maxim, thank you for joining, my friend. How was Malaysia, or how is Malaysia, I should say?
Good, warm, rainy, lightning. Event is tomorrow, so we have tomorrow.
Yeah.
We try to connect. It's several stages we're going now towards exposing of using our data in AI models. So we wanna motivate or encourage people to learn at least, or trying to do something with their hands more on code level. How to extract anomalies out of our metrics, how to feed them as the signals into trading strategies. What does it mean? A simple approach even to build quant strategy before we jump to AI environment where you trust or rely too much on machine, so that we as a human understand more underlying techniques. Yeah, trust too much machines.
Do you know if there will be a recording of your discussion? I know many of us.
Yes. I asked to organize good videos, so we could then do some snapshots or some shorter sequences and publish them.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Looking forward to checking those out.
Yeah, Larry here, Ilya, Alex, quite some people. Clement.
All right.
Yeah, coincidentally, somehow people were not so far away.
Yeah. Well, I hope the rest of the trip goes well for you and the team, and thank you for joining today.
Yes, my pleasure. It was good to also see you bringing data, which I use, but not so often. I think like you, complementary. I'm used from one angle, another angle, so it's good to always exchange here.
We've got your yin and my yang combining to provide some good summaries of the market. So
yes, correct. Yeah. And anyone who's listening can pick up what is more natural for you to understand or to your current vision of the market too. And the next time
Absolutely.
you can flip. 1 week you like what I say, next week you like what Brad says. Get balanced.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Maxim, once again. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Feel free to give this video a like, subscribe if you have not done yet, all of that stuff. It really helps us out as we continue to grow the platform, and we appreciate your support. Till next week, take care, guys, and thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Next week. Bye-bye.
Cheers.